All praises to our Heavenly Father. I thank the Most High again for another wonderful day that He has made. Thank you for keeping us all. All glory to our Heavenly Father. So today's law of the day, I'm thinking Leviticus 19. I like to do this randomly. Okay, I came to Leviticus 19:15. Leviticus 19:15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. You shall not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. In righteousness shalt thou judge your neighbor. I did not know that I was going to be reading this. If not, I would have brought a picture. It might be too difficult for me to find that picture right now. So I've had a situation where, and it happens once in a while, at least once a month. I'm in West Africa right now. And at least once a month, even yesterday, I had a similar situation yesterday where there was a minor accident. It wasn't that bad. And it seems like a lady caused the accident because the guy that got hurt, the guy that fell, that crashed, he got up and he started arguing with the lady. So from what I observed, it seemed like she caused the accident. The accident was caused by her. Of course, she had to defend herself. She had to argue that she wasn't at fault. But the guy was like, no, you are at fault. You did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. That's why this happened, because of what you did. So the lady was trying to defend herself. And I watched them from a distance. That was like last evening. So around 4 or 5 p.m. So I watched the whole thing and I didn't get involved. The one that happened about 2 nights ago, the night before the Sabbath. I think it was the night before the Sabbath. I had to get involved. And that was a drunk guy. He was drunk. And he backed his car into another car. And then the owner of the other car came out and was like, why did you back into my car? And the drunk guy was like, no, I didn't back into your car. And his car, the drunk guy, the guy that was drunk, his car was actually touching the other guy's car. And he was still denying it. He was still denying it. And before you know it, crowd started gathering because they wanted to fight. And then the other guy was upset. He became very, very angry because the drunk guy was clearly at fault. The drunk guy's car was like literally touching his car. And the drunk guy was still denying it. So I was just sitting there waiting for somebody and I was just watching them. I was sitting in the car waiting for somebody, watching them. And then the guy that wasn't drunk, the victim, he now went and blocked the drunk guy, blocked him that he couldn't enter into the car. So I step out of the car and I approached them. When I approached them, I actually went and looked. The drunk guy's boss was still touching the Toyota Corolla of the other guy. The mini boss, small boss, was actually still touching the guy's car, and he was still denying it. So when I looked at the drunk guy's vehicle, his small bus was touching the other guy's Toyota Corolla. And then I turned to the drunk guy. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just apologize. You are wrong. Your car, your boss is literally touching his car right now. Look. And people came and look. And I was looking at the whole thing. It was like, and then as I was talking to the drunk guy, I now realized that he was drunk because he was trying to argue with me that he is right or that he was right, that he didn't do anything wrong, that the car may have came close, but it did not touch. But I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, his boss was literally touching the guy's Toyota Corolla. And that was what made that guy angry because he could have just apologized. And I was like, why don't you just apologize? So I was talking to him. I could smell alcohol coming from his mouth. That's when I was like, okay. You're drunk. You're drunk. And it's like, and then I went to the other guy. I went to the other guy and I was like, it's okay, just let him go. He's drunk. And like, what are you gonna do? Like, just let him go. And then the other guy was like, yeah, and then he began to come down. The other guy started coming down and the other guy was like, you're drunk, you're driving drunk, whatever. And then he was like, no, I'm not drunk, whatever. Like, and then I went to the car and then I drove. I saw that the other guy, his temper began to come down because he actually went and stood. Oh, I wish I had a camera that day. I should have recorded this. Because whenever I see people quarreling, whenever I see people fighting or quarreling on the street, I always think about this verse, Leviticus 19:15. And I pray that one day I'll capture a video where I will actually do this. I've had incidences that happen. There was another time that something happened in the place that I go to print the papers that I used to go for my evangelism. I went there to print the paper, and then I saw a guy. I think he broke. It's like, he accidentally damaged somebody else's bike with his bike, and it doesn't seem like he had money to pay for it. So and they were arguing and then there was crowd. So I went over there. I saw how they were arguing. Then I realized that the problem is money. The guy whose bike was damaged, all he wanted is, give me money. Let me go and fix my tire. You broke my tire. The tube less. There was no longer air in the tube. And there was crowd, like crowd of men gathered. So I approached, I listened, I looked at the situation, and then I realized that this argument is going to continue on and on for the next hour or whatever. The only problem here is money. So I asked the guy, I asked the victim, what's the problem? I think I asked him and he told me, well, blah, 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 blah. Then I realized that he doesn't want any problem. He is the victim. He was the victim. He just wants his damaged bike to be fixed. I mean, this is his bike. This is what he used it to feed his family. Like, you can't just tell him sorry and then he will go. How is he going to fix that bike? When I realized that the problem there was money, I put my hands in my pocket and I gave him the money to go fix it. And that was it. That was the end of the case. So let me read this again. Deuteronomy chapter Leviticus 19:15. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Okay, so whenever I approach people who are fighting, arguing, I have to be honest in my judgment. You see, that last story I told you that took place maybe 2-3 years ago. No, it's more than 2 years ago. About 3 years ago or so, because that was the other time I came back from California, and then later I went back to California. That was in that visit to West Africa. That was when this happened. An unrighteous judgment would have been when this man accidentally damaged the other man's property. And that property was what he was using to feed his family. An unrighteous judgment. Let me highlight it. An unrighteous judgment would have been me approaching them, arguing, about to fight. I approach them and then I start begging the victim to forget. That would be an unrighteous judgment. The other man damaged his property. If I beg him to forgive, or if I persuade him to forgive, or if I force him to forgive, that's an unrighteous judgment. That is an unrighteous judgment. You have to be fair. So, because who's going to fix his bike? Who will fix his bike? That is his tool. That bike is his tool. How is he going to fix it? So it's not enough for me to approach and be like, can you please forgive? I mean, it's not enough. What I can do is, if I see that the other guy doesn't have money, I can plead with the victim. I can plead with the victim and beg the victim to maybe take half. Something has to be done. You can't just force him or beg him or manipulate him to forgive and then go. Because what did the Most High say? The Most High gave us a law. And in his law, he told us that if somebody damages somebody's property, you have to pay for it. The Most High was very clear. You damage somebody's property, you pay for it. The Most High did not say that the victim must forgive. Hell no, that's not biblical. That is not biblical. You damage somebody's product or property, you have to pay for it. Now, if you don't have money to pay for it or whatever, then you start begging. You beg, and then you have to find a way to, maybe you have to go borrow. It is wicked for you to damage somebody's property and then you just expect them to forgive and go fix it themselves. That would be nice. That would be nice. People have damaged I remember when you see the car that I drive, that SUV, the one that I used to go for evangelism. Few days after that car was oh my goodness. Few days after that car was painted, some years ago, a couple of years ago, somebody damaged the paint and was begging me to forgive. I was like, no, you have to pay for it. And then I called the guy that did the painting. The guy told me, yes, he can repaint it again. I think I took a picture and sent to him or whatever or something. I told him where the damage was. So, but I wanted the guy that damaged this car to pay because he was so irresponsible. Because he couldn't drive. The guy didn't know how to drive. And then all I was hearing was, hey, 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 hey. And then it turned out that he was trying to drive, because I was at the mechanic. He was trying to drive somebody's vehicle when he couldn't drive. So he almost backed into something. And people were shouting, telling him to stop. And then he stopped. And then like 5 or 10 minutes later, he started driving again. And then hit my car. He hit the SUV. So I felt like this guy is irresponsible. You cannot drive. You're doing experiment in a parking lot where there are a bunch of cars. You're experimenting driving, whatever. So I was like, no, you have to pay for it. So I wanted him to, I didn't just want to say, oh, okay, that's okay. No. Next time he's going to do it again. So I refused. I was like, you have to pay for it. In the back of my mind, I already had a plan. My plan is for him to suffer and get that money. I wanted him to get the money. And then after he gets the money, then I'll pay for it myself. And I think that was what I did. He didn't end up paying anything. I paid for the damage, but I wanted him to suffer and go get that money. I didn't just want to forgive him because I knew if I forgave him, he will continue to be irresponsible, playing with people's property and lives. You can't be letting people go like that, because the more you let them go, the more irresponsible they become. They have to pay a price for their stupidity. Me, I was driving about 2 weeks ago. I was driving. The last time, if you see that video, the video about exercise that I uploaded, that was when the day I made that accident happened the day I made that video available. So if you look under that video, you see the date. That was exactly the day that accident happened, and it was my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I was driving. I made the video available on YouTube, and I was listening to the video. I had a headset. I had a headset on. Initially, I had my phone on my hand. I think I may or may have not put the phone down. I think I probably put it down, or I may not have put it down. I honestly don't remember. Like, probably I was holding my phone. But that wasn't even the issue, because I wasn't, like, I still have the other arm. The problem was that I did not look. I was making a left turn. I don't even remember if I had my navigator on. I was making a left turn. I was supposed to look, and I know 100% that I did not look. You're driving on the street, you're making a left turn. You have to make sure that there's nobody coming on the other side. I 0% did not look. And there was two guys on a bike, two young men, two teenagers. They crashed into me. And one of them was traumatized by that crash. All praises to the Most High. The damage on their body was not that much. They had bruises. Their bike was damaged. So first thing first, I took both of them to the chemist to for the bruises. For the bruises, I didn't know how much damage that they had, how much wound that they had. And then after they were treated for the bruises, we went back to where their bike was. I had to roll their bike myself. All praises to Yah. There was a panel beater around. So I pushed their bike, because their bike was not drivable. The brake damaged. The iron that was like controlling the brake was bended. Was bended. So I took them to the I took their bike to the panel beater there, and all praises to Yah. The panel beater was able to fix most of those damages was fixed. Of course, it was no longer perfect, but their bike became drivable. I paid for all these things. I paid the panel beater. I paid the chemist. I did this because it was my fault. I hurt these people because of my irresponsibility for not looking. I was driving and I didn't pay attention. It was 100% my fault. And all praises to Yah. They did not struck their hair on the concrete. And it could have been a much bigger problem. If any of them had hit their head on the concrete and go into coma, I have to pay for it. And over here, they don't wear helmet. 99% of the people riding bike here, they don't wear helmet. 99%. In fact, 99.9% do not even wear helmet. I have helmet. I bought helmet in California. If I'm going to ride a bike, oh, may Yah please never allow me to ride a bike without helmet. I have to wear a helmet. I know people that have died because they struck their head somewhere. I know a guy that struck his head on a concrete and died. Most of the transportation here are bikes, but they don't wear helmet. So I do have a couple of, I have more than a couple of helmets over here. I have some helmets that I bought. If I'm going to ride a bike, I'm going to wear a helmet. These guys have no helmet, but it doesn't matter because it was still my fault. The point is, I did not look. I absolutely did not look. So I took them all praises to Yah. The damage was not that much. I went and treated them at the chemist, paid for it, came back to their bike and went and fixed their bike and paid for it. And then they left, you know. So, yeah, the thing is that you can't damage somebody's thing and then expect them to just forgive you. So, who's going to fix their problem? Who's going to fix the damage that you caused? And in this case, it was my fault. I was irresponsible by not looking when I was making that left turn, and they crashed into me. It was 100% my fault. And of course, they're speeding too. These are almost like teenagers. They are like probably around 18 years old, 19 years old, right? They were speeding, but it doesn't matter. I can cause the crash and then say they're speeding. I know if they were driving very slow, if they were driving at a minimum speed and they were paying attention, they would have seen me making that turn and they would have slowed down. But because they were in a high speed, they couldn't, they were speeding. Like if they were driving the way they should, maybe the accident would not have happened. So, anyways, all praises to our Heavenly Father. Please, my brothers and sisters, whenever you come across people who are fighting, who are arguing, right? Be fair in your judgment. Be fair. Don't take side. If you know that you're not going to be fair, if you know that if you like any of them that are fighting, then don't get involved in mediating. Don't get involved in mediating. Look at the nonsense thing that the Americans are doing right now, Donald Trump. You're giving Ukraine bombs to fire into Russia, and you're pretending to negotiate. This degenerate called Donald Trump. The Americans are giving Ukraine bomb to fire into Russia. The Americans are the ones that promised Ukraine that Ukraine would join NATO. So therefore, stand up against Russia. We will let you join NATO. And then the same Americans are pretending to be negotiating peace. And then are we not seeing it right now in Iran? Americans are propping up so-called Israel. Israel is a colony of America. It's a fake country. Even Donald Trump opened his filthy, disgusting, rotten mouth to say that I don't like that guy because he's such a liar. And actually, I like him. I like Donald Trump, to be honest. The reason why I like him is because Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Bush, all these other so-called presidents, they pretend. They're very corny, like a snake. They pretend. But Donald Trump do not pretend. There's a video of him on YouTube where he said that America is not innocent. Somebody was, I think it was a CNN reporter that was asking him, about how some other country are killing people. They are terrorists and they are killing people or whatever. And Donald Trump was like, are we innocent? We Americans, do we not kill people? We are not so innocent. So what I like about Donald Trump is his honesty. I like his honesty. I like that he doesn't hide their hatred for, immigrants. He doesn't hide it. I like that he doesn't hide, his arrogance, his proudness. He's all those things. I like that he's very upfront. To be honest, I like people like that. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. I'm honest when I say I like him because at least you know who you're dealing with compared to these other snakes that have came before him. They say one thing here while they mean something else. So now you say you want to mediate peace between Iran and Israel, and yet you're giving Israel bomb to fire. That is the opposite of how we should mediate, my brothers and sisters. Here's the law in our face right here. Leviticus 19:15. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. But in righteousness shall thou shalt but in righteousness shalt thou judge your neighbor. In righteousness. So we have to be honest. Don't take sides. Do not take sides. If you see people fighting, arguing, having problems, be fair in your judgment. Don't take side. The person who is wrong, don't pretend as if they were not wrong. You don't have to start, you who is trying to mediate, you don't need to shout. You don't need to argue or shout or whatever. Be a mediator. Do not approach people who are having problem and you try to instigate. Don't take side and instigate. Don't come where two people are fighting, arguing, and you take side. You take side and then you start telling the other people that they are wrong and blah blah blah. No. Be a mediator. If you approach people who are having problem, your children, your family members, outsiders, strangers, be a mediator. Try to calm the situation down. Look at the situation honestly and mediate righteously. Don't take sides. If somebody damaged somebody's property, don't just focus on the victim and tell the victim to forgive and forget. That's wrong. Let the victim decide if they want to forgive and forget. Don't be the one that will persuade them. If they forgive and forget, who's going to fix their damage thing? Think about it. Imagine you. If somebody damages your property, and then somebody approaches you, begging you to forgive and forget, who's going to fix that damage? The Most High was very clear. Our Heavenly Father is very clear. The Most High told us, if somebody damages somebody's property, you have to pay for it. If you damage somebody's property, you have to pay for it. The Most High told us that. So let's be fair. If you know you cannot mediate a problem righteously and fairly, don't get involved. If you see two people who are fighting and you know you cannot mediate that problem, you cannot mediate it fine, do not get involved. Don't get involved. Okay? So all praises to our Heavenly Father. I give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. I think I like this morning's law of the day. And I will continue to do the law of the day. And I will also encourage you to continue to meditate in the book of the law yourself, day and night. It's always good and very pleasurable to me whenever I go through the scriptures. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Thank the Most High for his love and his kindness, for his mercy, his kindness towards us. That is one of the things I pray. I pray that Yah will make me to love his word and make his word to be like a honey to my mouth and to be like good songs to my ear. And I pray for Yah to give me zeal, to make me to be zealous for his law. So all praises to the Most High for his love and his kindness. Sometimes you feel tired, sometimes I feel tired, sometimes I may not be in the mood to open the scriptures. Sometimes I may not be in the mood. And sometimes, when I read it, I might feel tired or whatever. Or it might not sound so, whatever. But my goal is for his word to be pleasurable. My goal is for his word to be acceptable. My goal is for his word, the word of the Most High, for me to keep on loving it and to love it more and more and more. So all praises to the Most High. I pray that the Most High will protect you and guide you wherever you are, not just you, but your family members, because I'm not just praying for us. I'm also praying for our loved ones. Why? Because if anything happened to our loved ones, of course, it's going to be devastating for us. It's true that our loved ones, most of them do not keep the law. But I don't want anything to happen to them. If anything happened to your child or your grandchild or your loved one, of course, it's going to pain us. So I pray that Yah will continue to be with us and protect us and guide us. So have a peaceful day. May your peace and protection be upon you. Have a peaceful day until we see again. Of course, please, if you have any question, you're welcome to give me a call. You're welcome to give me a call. You never know. If you have any issue and you call me, there's like 80% chance that you get an answer from me. About 80% chance. If you have any question, if somebody called me the other day, they were having headaches or whatever, and then I gave them some idea what to do to the person, to their husband who was having that severe headache, migraine. And then I called him yesterday morning, and then the man was feeling good. He was he almost recovered. And then like, just give me a call, because you never know, or if you just want to talk, if you just want to talk, and there's no one to talk with, you're welcome to give me a call. So all praises to the Most High. I thank the Most High for His love and His kindness, and I pray that His Spirit and His angels will protect you and guide you and be with you. Have a peaceful rest of the day.